Welcome to a new story made by Oracle 1. The shadows in the fog. The road into Graven Hollow Forest wound like a black ribbon through the hills, narrowing until it was little more than a dirt track swallowed by trees. The fog had rolled in just after sunset, thick and heavy as wool, turning the world into shifting gray. The headlights of the van cut through it in brief, trembling beams. Inside, laughter mixed with the hum of music, a fragile brightness against the encroaching dark. There were 6 of them. Maya, the organizer, practical, headstrong, the one who'd insisted they go camping, off-grid, for the weekend. Dylan, her boyfriend, trying too hard to act brave. Sarah, Maya's best friend since college, quiet but observant. Josh, Sarah's twin brother, loud, reckless, and always recording things on his phone. Eli, the skeptic, rolling his eyes at every story. And Nadia, the outsider, new to the group, invited mostly because she worked with Maya and needed to loosen up. "Are we even going the right way?" Eli asked from the passenger seat, leaning forward as if that might help him see through the fog. Maya checked the GPS. It showed a blank space where the road should be. "Signal's gone again." Josh snorted. "That's a good sign. Every horror movie starts with the GPS dying." Nadia gave a nervous laugh. "Please don't say that while we're still driving into the middle of nowhere." The van lurched over a rut. Fog pressed against the windows, swirling like it had weight. "Relax," Dylan said. "We'll find the clearing soon. There's a lake, remember? You'll love it once we set up camp." But when they finally reached the clearing, the fog hadn't lifted. It hung low over the ground, coiling between the trunks like pale smoke. They set up their tents anyway, huddled under the branches of towering pines that vanished into the gray above. The air was damp, heavy with the scent of moss and cold earth. Every sound, every snapped twig, every breath, felt louder than it should. "Feels like we're the last people on Earth," Sarah murmured. Josh grinned, sweeping his phone around. "Perfect. My followers will love it. Lost in the fog, camping vlog gone wrong." Maya frowned. Not funny. But Josh was already narrating. "We're deep in Graven Hollow, where apparently the fog never clears. Locals say people used to come here to disappear. They called it the forest that forgets you." "Okay," Nadia said, wrapping her jacket tighter. "No more creepy legends. Can we please just make a fire?" They did. Flames flickered, struggling against the damp air, casting long shadows that danced across the fog. The warmth was fragile, like it could be snuffed out at any moment. They ate, drank, laughed, or tried to. The forest seemed to drink in their noise, swallowing it whole. Then came the first whisper. Faint, almost like the wind. Maya froze mid-sentence. "Did you hear that?" Eli looked up. "Hear what?" "Someone whispering." Josh smirked. "The fog's playing tricks. Sound travels weird in this kind of air." But Maya was sure she'd heard it, a low murmur, like a voice calling her name from somewhere deep in the trees. They brushed it off, told ghost stories, let the fire burn low. When it was time to sleep, the fog had thickened until even the flames seemed muted. Maya crawled into her tent with Dylan and zipped the flap shut, the sound impossibly loud in the hush. She lay awake long after Dylan's breathing slowed. The whisper returned, clearer this time. "Closer." "Maya?" She sat up sharply. "Dylan?" He stirred. "What? You didn't just call my name?" He blinked, half asleep. "No." Something moved outside, a soft crunch of footsteps circling their tent. Maya reached for the flashlight. The beam cut through the fabric wall, showing only fog. But as she turned the light, she saw it, a shadow. Not cast onto the tent, but within it. It rippled across the wall, tall and thin, not matching the shape of anything outside. And it was moving, slowly, deliberately. The light flickered. "Maya?" Dylan sat up now, fully awake. She didn't answer. She was watching the shadow stop, right beside her, and tilt its head. A faint whisper seeped through the fabric, so close she could feel it vibrate against her skin. "You shouldn't have come." The flashlight died. Darkness swallowed them whole. Morning came reluctantly. The fog never lifted. It just lightened, from charcoal gray to a dull, colorless white that dulled every edge of the forest. The air was still. Even the birds were silent. Maya stepped out of the tent, clutching the flashlight like a weapon. The fire had gone out during the night, and the ashes looked strange, scattered outward in long streaks, as though something had dragged through them. Sarah was crouched near the embers, rubbing her arms for warmth. "Something was walking around last night," she said quietly. "I heard it too." Josh yawned from his tent. "Probably just a deer." Sarah pointed toward the tree line. "Deer don't leave those." The footprints were unlike anything they'd ever seen. Long, narrow depressions in the damp soil, almost human, but too stretched, too uneven. The stride was wrong, like whoever, or whatever, had made them didn't quite understand how to walk. Eli crouched to inspect one. "It's probably warped by the fog," he said. "Light refracts differently here. Maya's glare could have cut glass." "That's not light refraction, Eli. That's something walking around our camp." Nadia hugged her arms, her breath fogging in the cold air. "I want to leave." Josh laughed, but it sounded forced. "We can't just leave. We hiked all day to get here. Then we hike back." "Relax," Maya said, forcing calm into her voice. "We'll stay one more night. If it still feels weird, we go first thing in the morning." The others didn't argue. Not out loud. But as they ate in silence, every one of them kept glancing at the fog, and the faint shapes that seemed to move within it. By afternoon, the world had shrunk to a circle of a few meters. Step too far from camp, and the fog swallowed you whole. Josh wandered with his camera, narrating nervously. "So yeah, still foggy. We're officially in a creepypasta now. No signal, no sound, just this." He panned across the white void. "If anyone finds this footage later, tell my followers I died doing what I loved, ignoring red flags." A shape flickered past behind him. He spun. "Eli? That you?" Silence. Then, movement again, deeper between the trees. Something tall. He zoomed in. The shape was gone. But for a fraction of a second, the lens caught something impossible. His own outline standing a few meters away, turned the wrong direction. The camera dropped slightly. What the hell? When he turned back to camp, Maya was waving. "Lunch." He forced a laugh and jogged back, pretending nothing had happened. By evening, the fog began to hum. At first, it was just a vibration underfoot, like distant thunder. Then it became a low droning, pulsing through the trees. The group huddled near the fire, flames struggling to breathe. Eli frowned. "You guys hear that?" Sarah nodded. "It's been going for an hour. Maybe there's a road nearby." "There's no road," Maya said. "There's nothing for miles." The hum deepened, not mechanical, not human. A resonance that made their teeth ache. And then, between the flickers of flame, something moved. It was faint at first. A dark shimmer just beyond the light. Then two. Then three. Shadows flickering inside the fog, stretching tall, bending wrong. Nadia whimpered. "Maya, tell me that's smoke." Maya grabbed her arm. "Stay by the fire." The shadows circled. Each movement was slow, deliberate, like a predator testing boundaries. When the fire flared, they melted away. When it dimmed, they came closer. Josh lifted his camera, trembling. "Holy!" The flame snapped with a wet hiss. Darkness slammed down. The world went silent except for breathing, frantic, uneven. Then came the sound of feet, dragging, heavy, circling the group. Sarah screamed. "Something touched me." Eli flicked his lighter. For half a second, there was light, and in that light, dozens of figures stood at the edge of the fog. Their faces were blank. featureless, their bodies pitch black, as if carved from shadow. And every one of them was mimicking the group's movements. Maya took a step back. So did her double. Sarah fell to her knees. So did hers. The copies didn't hesitate. They mirrored, perfectly, unnaturally. Then, one of them didn't. Josh's shadow tilted its head, independent of him, and reached out. "Run!" Maya screamed. They scattered into the fog, the camp vanishing behind them. But no matter which way they ran, the trees never changed. The fog thickened. The air turned cold enough to burn their throats. Maya could hear the others, shouts, screams, the crunch of boots, then silence. She turned, breath ragged. "Dylan?" A figure emerged through the fog. It was him. She ran to him, until she saw the eyes. They were wrong. Empty. Reflecting no light. The thing smiled. When it spoke, its voice was hers. "Maya, you shouldn't have left the fire." Maya stumbled backward, her heart hammering in her chest. The thing wearing Dylan's face stepped closer, its features rippling like oil under the surface of water. Its grin widened as the fog coiled around its body, half revealing, half concealing the nightmare shape beneath. "Maya," it whispered again, voice slightly fractured, overlapping tones like two people speaking in unison. "You left me in the dark." Her mind screamed to run, but her legs wouldn't move. She could only watch as it took another step, the fog thickening around its shoulders until it was little more than a humanoid outline of black smoke. "Stay away from me," she choked out. The thing tilted its head, just like the shadow had done back at camp. "Why? You came here to find us." And then it lunged. Maya's paralysis broke. She bolted into the trees, her flashlight beam slicing through the fog in wild arcs. Branches clawed at her clothes, her breath rasping painfully in her throat. She didn't dare look back, but she could hear it, the wet sound of something moving fast through the mist, always just behind her. She tripped, hit the ground hard, and rolled into a shallow ditch. Her flashlight went skittering away, spinning to a stop with its beam pointing directly upward. In that pale cone of light, the fog churned like a living thing. The shadow appeared above her. Its outline flickered and stretched, until for a split second, she saw her own face looking down at her, pale, hollow-eyed, and whispering words she couldn't understand. Then another voice called out, "Sarah's." "Maya, over here." Maya scrambled up, clutching the flashlight, and ran toward the voice. She burst through the fog into a small clearing where Sarah, Nadia, and Eli stood huddled around a single guttering torch. "Where's Dylan?" Sarah demanded. Maya shook her head. "He's gone. Or, something's wearing him." Eli's eyes were wide. "What do you mean wearing him?" "They look like us," she said, her voice trembling. "They move like us. But they're not human." The fog pulsed around them, a soft, rhythmic sound, almost like breathing. The forest floor shimmered with moisture, and for the first time, Maya noticed something strange. There were no real shadows anymore. Even with the torchlight flickering, everything looked flat, colorless. "Our shadows," Nadia whispered. "They're gone." Eli looked down. He was right. The ground beneath them was blank. No silhouettes cast by their bodies. Maya felt nausea twist in her gut. "They've taken them." As if in answer, the fog rippled. Shapes began forming within it, silhouettes emerging slowly, as though rising from underwater. Each one was familiar. The exact outline of one of them. The same height, the same posture. Their own shadows, now walking independently. The group backed away. The copies advanced, perfectly in sync, until one shadow froze mid-step, then turned its head. Maya realized, with mounting dread, that they weren't copies anymore. They were learning. Nadia's voice broke into a sob. "Why is this happening? What do they want?" The air seemed to answer her, whispering softly through the fog. "Light." Sarah gasped. It spoke. Light, the voice repeated, now from another direction. You brought it here. The torch flickered violently. Eli dropped it in panic, and as it hit the ground, the shadows lunged. Maya grabbed Nadia and ran, dragging her through the fog. She could hear the others screaming behind her, the crunch of boots, the sound of struggle, the hum of the forest rising to a fever pitch. When they finally collapsed beside a fallen tree, gasping for air, the fog was thicker than ever. Maya couldn't see more than a meter in front of her. "Sarah?" she called. "Eli?" Nothing, just whispers. Nadia clutched her arm. "I think we're going in circles. I saw that same tree an hour ago. We can't be. We've been running straight." Nadia pointed, and there it was. A torn scrap of Maya's red jacket hanging from a branch, damp with fog. The same one she'd seen when they first set up camp. Maya's breath caught. No, that's impossible. The fog around them shimmered faintly, like heat rising off asphalt. For a second, she thought she saw something moving behind the mist, vast shapes, towering and indistinct, sliding just out of view. "This place isn't letting us leave," Nadia whispered. "It's folding. Like a loop." A faint sound rose from behind them, slow, deliberate footsteps. "Run," Maya said, but Nadia didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the fog ahead, where another figure was emerging. It was her. Same clothes, same face, but her copy was smiling, its expression stretched too wide, too smooth. "Don't," Maya hissed. Nadia stepped forward anyway, trembling. "That's me." The shadow raised its hand. "Don't," Maya shouted, but Nadia didn't listen. She reached out, and as their fingers touched, the fog erupted. A flash of black light, impossible, color-draining, devouring, burst outward. Maya shielded her eyes, screaming. When she looked again, Nadia was gone. Only one figure stood in the mist. And it was smiling at her. "Maya," it said in Nadia's voice, perfectly calm. "We should go back to the camp." Maya stumbled backward, horror flooding through her veins. She didn't know what was worse, that Nadia was gone, or that something else had taken her place. The fog pulsed once more, almost gently. And somewhere deep in the forest, a bell began to toll. The bell echoed through the fog, slow and hollow, each toll rolling through the forest like a heartbeat. Maya froze, straining to listen. It wasn't just the sound, it was where it came from. The bell wasn't distant. It was moving. "Maya," the thing that looked like Nadia said softly, "we have to go back to camp. The others are waiting." Its eyes gleamed faintly, like polished obsidian. Maya took a careful step backward. "You're not her." "I am," it replied in perfect mimicry. "You just don't remember me right." Maya turned and ran, plunging deeper into the fog. The bell's tolls growing faster, louder. The sound no longer came from one direction, it was everywhere. It seemed to vibrate through the ground, through the trees, through her bones. Branches clawed at her as she stumbled through the murk. Every breath felt thicker, heavier. The fog wasn't just cold now, it was dense, like wet fabric clinging to her skin. She emerged suddenly into another clearing, and stopped. The campsite. The same torn tarp. The same burnt-out fire pit. Everything exactly as it had been. But this time, the fog was thicker, swirling in slow spirals around the tents like breath exhaled by something vast and hidden. "Eli?" she called, voice trembling. A shape moved behind one of the tents. Maya tensed, gripping the broken branch she'd picked up earlier. The shape moved closer, hunched, shuffling. Then Eli appeared, his face pale and streaked with ash. "Maya," he gasped, eyes wild. "You're alive." She dropped the branch and ran to him. He grabbed her shoulders, shaking. "It's not fog. It's them. It's the shadows. They move in it. They're it." Maya's heart pounded. "Where's Sarah?" Eli's gaze flicked toward the fire pit. Maya followed it, and saw Sarah sitting cross-legged beside the ashes, staring blankly into the dirt. Sarah?" Maya whispered. Sarah turned her head slowly. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused. Her lips moved, whispering something over and over. Eli leaned in, voice trembling. "She's been like that since I found her. Keeps saying the same thing." Maya crouched, straining to hear. "They're all light now," Sarah murmured. "All light in the fog." Maya's skin crawled. "Sarah, look at me." Sarah blinked once, twice, then smiled faintly. "You shouldn't have come back." Eli cursed under his breath. "She's losing it." Maya shook her head. "No, I think she's trying to warn us." A faint glow caught her eye, faint and red, just beyond the treeline. It pulsed once, twice, like a heartbeat. Eli saw it too. "What the hell is that?" "I don't know," Maya whispered. "But if this fog is what's keeping us here, maybe that's what's making it." Sarah suddenly spoke, voice flat and distant. "It's where they feed." Maya froze. "What?" Sarah's eyes rolled white. Her voice dropped an octave, a deep, echoing tone that wasn't her own. "They feed on light, on warmth, on what makes you you. That's why you forget where you've been. That's why you lose time." Eli backed away, horrified. "She's possessed." Sarah's head twitched violently, her voice breaking between two tones. One hers, one alien. "You brought it back with you. You let it in." Then she screamed, a shrill, tearing sound, and the fog exploded outward from her body, a wave of cold that snuffed out every ember of the campfire. Maya and Eli dove to the ground. When the fog settled again, Sarah was gone. Only a faint shimmer remained where she'd sat, like heat rising off asphalt. Eli stood, trembling. "We have to go. Now." Maya nodded numbly. The red glow in the trees was stronger now, pulsing faster. The fog around it seemed to ripple, drawn toward it. They ran toward the light. As they drew closer, the trees thinned, and the ground sloped sharply downward. The glow was coming from a pit, a wide, circular depression in the earth. The fog poured into it like water down a drain. At the center stood an old iron bell, half buried, its surface corroded and pitted with age. A rope hung from its mouth, swaying slightly, even though there was no wind. Maya whispered, "The bell?" Eli frowned. "That's what we heard earlier." The air shimmered above the pit. For a moment, they could see through the fog. See shapes beneath it, hundreds of shadowy forms writhing, overlapping. Faces flickering in and out of existence. It wasn't mist. It was them. Eli stepped back. "Jesus Christ. They're trapped," Maya breathed. "All the people who came here before." The bell tolled once, deep and resonant. The fog surged upward, coiling around them like smoke from a fire. And then, a voice. Not from outside, but inside Maya's head. "Ring it." She flinched, covering her ears. The voice was calm, patient, almost soothing. "Ring it, and it will end." Eli grabbed her shoulder. "Maya, what are you doing?" But she couldn't stop staring at the bell. Its surface gleamed faintly in the red light, and for a split second, she saw her reflection, her face flickering, overlaying another one that wasn't hers. Eli saw it too. "No, that's how it spreads. That's what it wants." The fog coiled tighter, whispering now in dozens of voices. "Ring it. Set us free." Eli grabbed her wrist, yanking her back. "Don't listen." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I can hear them, Eli. They're begging." "They're not begging, they're mimicking." The bell tolled again on its own, louder now. Eli staggered, clutching his head. The sound seemed to twist the air, making the trees bend inward. "Maya," he gasped, "we have to run." But she couldn't move. The fog was pouring into her lungs, thick and metallic tasting. She could feel it spreading through her veins, cold and alive. Her vision blurred. The red light grew blinding. Eli's voice was distant now. "Maya, don't." The last thing she saw was her own hand reaching out, and pulling the rope. The bell screamed. A wave of force exploded from the pit, flattening the trees. The fog ignited with crimson light, and for a brief, blinding instant, Maya saw everything, every shadow, every soul, every lost echo trapped in the fog. And she understood. The fog wasn't a curse. It was a vessel. And she had just opened it. The sound of the bell reverberated through the forest, stretching the air until it felt ready to split apart. The fog pulsed with each vibration, glowing brighter, then dimming, then flaring again like the slow, ragged heartbeat of something dying, or waking. Eli was thrown backward, slamming into a tree. Pain blossomed down his spine, but he barely felt it over the pressure inside his head. The tolling wasn't just sound anymore, it was inside him, vibrating in his bones, rearranging his thoughts like fingers stirring liquid. "Maya," he shouted, but she stood frozen at the edge of the pit, head tilted back, eyes wide and unfocused. Her lips moved silently. The fog around her shimmered, coiling into her mouth and nostrils, wrapping her like a cocoon of smoke. "Maya!" He stumbled forward, grabbing her arm, and screamed. Her skin was ice cold. Beneath it, something moved. He yanked his hand away, stumbling backward, his mind splitting between reason and panic. The fog thickened, swallowing the light from his flashlight until it flickered weakly like a dying star. Then Maya spoke. "Eli," she whispered, her voice both hers and not hers. "They're awake now." He shook his head violently. "You rang it. Why did you?" "They were trapped," she said softly. "All of them. For centuries. They wanted out." The fog surged higher, swirling around her in vast, slow waves. Faces formed in it, blurred, screaming, dissolving again before his eyes. Eli's stomach turned. "You didn't free them. You let them in." Maya's eyes flicked toward him. They glowed faintly, like coals beneath ash. "Don't fight it. You'll see." He backed away, but the ground beneath him was soft now, not dirt but something that shifted when he stepped. He glanced down and saw pale shapes pressing against the soil from beneath, like hands trying to claw their way up. "No," he muttered. "No, no." He ran. The fog chased him, surging forward in tendrils that reached between the trees. Every direction looked the same dead trunks, the same endless mist. He didn't know where he was anymore. Time itself seemed to stretch and snap like elastic. He tripped over a root and fell hard, gasping for air. His flashlight skittered away, its beam catching something in the distance, movement. He squinted. It was him, standing 10 meters away. The other Eli tilted his head. Its face was expressionless, smooth like porcelain, except for the eyes. They were hollow pits of light. Eli's breath caught. "No." The doppelganger stepped forward. The fog recoiled around it like fabric around a knife. It moved with slow, deliberate precision, mirroring Eli's every twitch. "Stay back," Eli shouted. The double smiled. "I am back." The voice wasn't external. It came from inside Eli's skull, vibrating his teeth, echoing behind his eyes. He turned and bolted through the fog, branches snapping against his arms. The forest twisted around him, paths he didn't recognize, loops folding in on themselves. Every few seconds, he heard his own footsteps behind him, perfectly timed but one beat too late. The shadows followed. The air grew heavier, thicker, the world narrowing to sound and pulse and breath. His vision swam. He burst into another clearing, and froze. The camp again. The same burnt fire pit. The same tarp. Only now, 3 figures sat around the dead fire. Sarah, Nadia, Dylan. They looked up in unison, their movements slow, unnatural. Their eyes gleamed faintly silver. "Eli," they said together. He stumbled backward. "You're not them." Sarah's face cracked into a grin that split too far up her cheeks. "We are now." He turned to run, and slammed straight into Maya. She caught him by the shoulders, holding him steady. Her eyes were brighter now, almost pure white. "You're the last one, Eli. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." He shook his head frantically. "What are you?" Her expression softened, almost kind. "A reflection. What's left when the light goes out?" She leaned closer, whispering, "You brought your light here, Eli. That's what it feeds on. That's how it survives." Eli's chest heaved. "I'm not letting you take me." Her hand shot out, gripping his jaw with unnatural strength. "It's already done." He tried to scream, but his mouth wouldn't open. The fog poured into him, cold, electric, alive. He felt it crawl down his throat, filling his lungs, his veins, his mind. Every thought dissolved into white noise. For a moment, he saw everything: the shipwrecks, the villages, the forests, all the places the fog had passed through over centuries. He saw people stumbling through mist, faces dissolving, lights snuffed out. He saw himself, endless copies of himself, wandering through endless gray. Then it stopped. Silence. Eli stood in the clearing, breathing slowly. The fog had thinned. The world was quiet again. He turned, and saw Maya standing beside him. But now her face was calm, her eyes clear. She smiled faintly. "You see? It's peaceful now." He looked down. His hands were pale, almost translucent. The light from the fog glowed faintly through his skin. "What did you do?" he whispered. She looked upward, toward the canopy where the fog was thinning, letting in faint dawn light. "We joined them." The bell tolled once more, far in the distance. A low, resonant note that rippled through the trees and faded. The fog began to rise, drifting upward like smoke. As it did, Eli saw the others, Sarah, Nadia, Dylan, standing nearby, faces serene, eyes glowing faintly. Their shadows stretched out behind them, but the shadows didn't match. Each one stood at a slightly different angle. Each one moved on its own. Eli turned toward Maya. "We can leave now?" She smiled sadly. "We never leave." And as the fog thinned, he saw what lay beneath the clearing, hundreds of pale faces staring up through the earth, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He looked down at his reflection in the fog pooling at his feet. It smiled back, a moment too late. Weeks later, hikers found the forest again. The fog had cleared. The campsite was empty. Only a rusted bell lay half buried in the dirt. One of the hikers picked it up, frowning. "Weird. Doesn't even look that old." He brushed away the dirt, revealing faint letters etched into the metal. "The light that feeds." The others laughed. "Creepy." He smiled faintly, shaking his head. "It's just a bell." But as he walked away, none of them noticed the faint shimmer in his shadow, the way it lingered behind when he moved, just a fraction of a second too slow. For more stories, like and subscribe.